What's going on, everybody? Your man Eric Wilson, Sports Arena. So here we are, week 2 in the NFL. But as always, before I get started, each and every time, we need justice for Breonna Taylor. And side note, that $12 million does not bring her back. We need to stop putting a price tag on people's lives and say that this amount should be sufficient enough. We need justice for Breonna Taylor. We need justice for Elijah McClain. And we need justice for Vanessa Guillen. Well, let's get down to business. Let me bring my brother in here, Mr. Alex Fleming, back with me for the week 2 NFL matchups. Alex, what's going on, man? How are you, brother?
Tired, man. This has been a busy week trying to get things in order, man. Real talk.
Hey, you've been holding it down for the past 2 weeks, and I personally want to say thank you. You know some of the things that I've been through, and I appreciate you just really grabbing the ball by the horns and just kind of taking charge with stuff. So I really appreciate you. I just got to say that to you first and foremost, man. But with that, I have to also give you some congratulations. I'm not a big fan of the fact that, you're right, Mr. Human Computer over there, but what can I say? It was week 1. I was really trying to just kind of shake things up a little bit. I was very happy to see that the Arizona Cardinals did wind up beating the San Francisco 49ers. I was wrong about the Jets. So that's on me. I'll take that one to the chest. But as you know, and as we've discussed on the carousel and just in conversation, how the hell Carson Wentz got sacked 8 times? I don't know. He is still not Mr. Glass. So don't even try throwing that in there, because any man who can get knocked down 8 times and still get himself up number 9. And I listened to you when you said about the whole rigor mortis thing. Oh yeah. Don't think I forgot. I'm gonna come get you for that one. I'm going to come get you. Don't worry about it. Your time, my brother, has come. But since we are talking about Mr. Alex Fleming, I want to start our conversation with a matchup that, Alex, I simply have to ask you one question. How on God's green earth did Mitchell Trubisky get it done against the Detroit Lions, number 1? And number 2, what's he going to do for part 2 of this whole thing? Because we all figured that probably by weeks 3 or 4, if not before that, Foles was going to start, but Trubisky found a way to get it done.
Mitchell Trubisky knew that his starting lineup for the Bears was in question. Mitchell Trubisky knew that he was about to face years of mediocrity, because the last thing you want is to get benched in week 1. That's not a good look. That's like dating the ugliest chick and taking her to the prom. No, you don't want to set that precedent. He saw a hole in the Detroit Lions defense, and he ran out routes, and he saw mismatches. That's why Mr. Allen Robinson wants to trade, because he's not happy because he's not getting fed. And Anthony Miller is looking like the true number 1. Mitchell saved his career for now, and he ignited that Bears offense. And it's a good time, too, because the New York Giants are coming into town, and they were shut down pretty much for most of the game against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
So with that being said, your Bears are hosting the Giants. Let me just put my glasses on here so I make sure I got everything right. Who's your pick this week between the Giants and the Bears?
The Chicago Bears. It shouldn't even be a shock, and no question. And here's why. Minkah Fitzpatrick and them boys were able to frustrate the wide receivers. And whenever Saquon touched that ball, it was gang tackling. Do you think the Chicago Bears are second when it comes to up front 7 defense to the Pittsburgh Steelers? I think not. And if you take away the running game and you make Danny Dimes beat you, well, we got Fuller over here. We got Smith that can drop back in coverage. I'm thinking it's going to be a beatdown of epic proportions. We stop Saquon, we stop that offense. Saquon is not the number 2 pick he's supposed to be. He good. Well,
he's not
great.
Okay, he's not the number 2 pick he's supposed to be. That's based on the system that he is trying to work and accelerate on. All right. So I still say that the ceiling is very high for this young man. He just needs to be on a team that's going to be able to not only utilize him, but make him be that man that we know him to be. I'm going to ride with you on this one, though, just because I need the Giants in my division. As we know, I need them to get another L. I'm going to ride with Khalil Mack, and I'm going to say to myself, I am going to take Mitchell Trubisky over Daniel Jones this week. When you look at it, I got to side with the little more experienced quarterback. And after the Monday night performance that Daniel Jones put out there, albeit it was against Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who do look like they're starting to get their wheels underneath them. We'll talk about them. But I'm going to roll with Chicago as well. Let's stay
Trubisky,
in.
20 points fantasy.
Wow.
Quote me.
20?
I didn't
Okay.
stutter.
All right. Let's stay in my division, the NFC East, and let's talk about, by the way, I want to say again, thank you to the playmaker and his LA Rams for beating up on them Cowboys. Sorry, Ruth. You know how I feel. It's football season. But now Dallas in Jerry World are hosting them ATL Dirty Birds with Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley. Now, we saw what happened. And again, a big thank you to Dr. Deepak. God bless you, for his injury report, because that just brought so much to light. Blake Jarwin is out. Leighton Vander Esch is out. I mean, if you Atlanta, all you doing right now is just picking at the bones of the Dallas Cowboys. I'm riding with Atlanta this week in them Dirty Birds. I know people are going to say, well, wait, you're an Eagles fan. This is what you always do. But this week it's different. Because when you're beat up like Dallas is already, you are going to have to rely on your second guys in rotation. You're going to have to rely on big names to have productive days. Now, it is the home opener. All right. And, the Cowboys all-time series between them and the Falcons are 15-11. However, when you look at the regular season history between these two teams, Alex, the Falcons have won 3 of the past 4.
I'm glad you brought that up. I know where you got the stats, so I'll keep that hush hush. Here's a tale of 2 teams with absolutely no secondary. Dallas's secondary, trash. Atlanta Falcons secondary, recycled trash. Julio, okay. Ridley, okay. Russell Gage. 3 of the Atlanta Falcon wide receivers had 100 yards receiving. Now, that was against Seattle. Now we're talking about Dallas. You know the difference between Seattle and Dallas? Look for Zeke to run crazy on that Atlanta Falcon defense. Oh, and Dak, knowing damn well that contract is on the line and he didn't look good in LA, well, he at home. I got the Dallas Cowboys beating them by at least a touchdown.
And I'm going the opposite way on this one. I actually think that the Falcons are going to win by at least 10. Yeah, I didn't stutter. So let's go up north. Let's talk about them Detroit Lions. A team that I honestly thought was going to get it done week 1. But as we just talked about, Mitchell Trubisky found a way to save his job, his career, and the media onslaught that would have existed. Well, now Detroit, Matt Patricia, Matthew Stafford, and all-day AP got to go to Lambeau. Now, Adrian Peterson is no stranger to Lambeau Field from his days in Minnesota. But see, you've aged a little bit, but he still looked good. 114 scrimmage yards in his debut last week. Come on now. In his 19 career games against Green Bay, this man has almost 2,000 yards and 16 rushing touchdowns. Most
kind of makes you think he doesn't like Green Bay, huh?
Doesn't at all. Most versus any opponent. Now he's trying to go for his 9th in a row with a rushing touchdown. Alex, does he get that rushing touchdown Sunday in Lambeau?
Yes. Here's the problem. He gets the rushing touchdown, but he doesn't get the W. Detroit is suffering from a lack of coaching. Detroit is suffering from an outside linebacker who can slow down or shut down a tight end. Oh, and Detroit traded Darius Slay for Trufant at the corner position. Look for Devontae Adams to just barbecue chicken. It's going to
Wow.
be bad. Now, don't get me wrong. Green Bay stole 2 games against Detroit last year. They were the most heavily helped when it came to penalties last year. Most. I'm not even lying. There's like the referee was their grandfather or something. They were inheriting penalties against the opposite team. However, that bad man known as Aaron Rodgers has been hearing the talk from last year. And when he's not running on the field, he's walking on the field. That's swag, bro. That's swag. Detroit belongs in the basement. They're going to stay in the basement. I got Green Bay by 14.
Wow. Green Bay by 14. I'm going to say Green Bay by like 5 or 6. I'm not even going to say by a touchdown. Well, if you don't include the extra point, but I'm only going to say 5 by 6 because you are right about the coaching. But see, Matthew Stafford is used to being the general out there. And if he, in fact, can just kind of take that responsibility and at least make himself and Patricia look good, and it's a divisional rivalry. Detroit was so close last week. They could taste victory at home. You don't think they got a chip on their shoulder?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still going to say
It's a
Green Bay.
chocolate chip because they saw it.
I'm still going to say Green Bay takes it, but I'm not saying by as much as you. I'm only saying maybe 5 or 6 points. Let's keep it going here on the Sports Arena. Your man, Eric Wilson, alongside my brother, Mr. Alex Fleming. And let's stay. Well, we talked about him a little bit. Let me ask you this, Alex. Real talk. What did you think of Phillip Rivers last week in his debut as an Indianapolis Colt?
Before or after the Marlon Mack injury?
Well, okay. All right. Listen, you were there. You were in Jacksonville. I need some inside intel, man. What did you fine? Break it down for me. What did you see before Marlon Mack went down? And then how was Phillip Rivers after?
Before Marlon Mack went down, they had a divisive running game that made you pick your poison. Are you going to have a 7-man front, leaving your secondary open for screens and slant passes? Or are you going to put another man in the box, forcing them to throw on you? Whenever they went light, like 6-on-6, if you will, they were gashing them. 19-yard gains, 18-yard gains, 19-yard gains, out screen passes, flats. Colts looked good when they didn't go conservative. Once Marlon Mack went down, all of a sudden, the playbook got a little bit tight. I guess the rookie running back, Jonathan Taylor, wasn't ready for all that smoke. When he had a homeboy with him, he was whoop-de-wooing at the mouth. Once the homeboy was gone, all of a sudden, Jonathan Taylor didn't look that good. Look for things to change now that Jonathan Taylor is the man to own in fantasy and in Indianapolis. He can be a bell cow back, and Marlon Mack only did him a favor by going down. Now Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines
I was getting ready
are
to say,
going to
how
be
you
the
just going to
ones to own. I mentioned Hines because he was in pro set formation for the 2 touchdowns that he gained. If you look at the amount of touches that Hines had in that game, he only had 6 touches total. 2 of them were in the red zone. He had 2 touchdowns. So, be it as it may, yes, Hines is a good flex option, but Jonathan Taylor is the one you want. Now, back to Phillip Rivers. He's the same old Phillip Rivers. Once you put some pressure on him, he throws duds. Actually, he was throwing milk duds because they would squabble and float in the air. That's how Weingard and CJ Henderson, who put that business on T.Y. Hilton, was able to get those interceptions. And now he's going against, may I say it, a little bit better defense with the Minnesota Vikings, who are going to hit him like he stole a package. I expect Minnesota to bounce back and Phillip Rivers to keep being Phillip Rivers.
well, someone's going to get their first win, and you're saying it's going to be Minnesota. Listen, you know my status on Phillip Rivers. Hasn't changed since he came into the league. The best thing that happened was that he didn't come to New York because Phillip Rivers would not be walking today. And I don't mean that in any sense outside from a football perspective. You would be hurt. You would be laid up if you had to deal with some of the defenses that existed in Philadelphia, in Dallas, and in Washington when he was a rookie. The fact that Eli survived and came away with 2 Super Bowl rings is a testament to Archie Manning raising them boys. Phillip Rivers, you a horse of a different breed, bruh. You breed children, not victories. I'm going with you and saying Minnesota is actually going to get that win because for me, It's the walking piece of mediocrity that is Kirk Cousins versus a man who should have retired and is not going to ever break that glass ceiling of getting to the promised land and getting a chip. So
look for the mismatch in Irv Smith. I think Irv Smith's going to be able to exploit that defense. Darius Leonard doesn't cover linebackers in the flat that well. Irv Smith.
Okay. So we're both taking Minnesota then.
Oh, yeah.
All right. We're going to do one more. Then we're going to take a quick break here on the Sports Arena. Shout out to our man Mookie and our boy Jerry, man. The debate that the carousel put out that's going to go out, y'all got to watch that. That's going to be something to behold. That was a true classic. But Buffalo coming down to Hard Rock Stadium to face the Miami Dolphins. Alex, is it Tua time yet?
Is week 2 too early for Tua?
Yeah,
I should probably write an article on that.
That's my question.
Week 2 too early for Tua? I think week 2 is too early for Tua. Week 3 might be just right. After Ryan Fitzpatrick wets the bed against the Buffalo Bills, I do believe Tua Tagovailoa might be able to start week 3. Now, I would love for him to start week 3 because week 3 they play the Jacksonville Jaguars, and I'm going to be live on location. Now, I'm going to do my damnedest to try to get an interview with Tua. But as far as week 2 being too early for Tua Tagovailoa, wow, what a tongue twister. I think it is. However, let me be fair to Jerry. Buffalo's missing a couple of linebackers, bro. Now, Aiken can't cover you or me, but Milano was the man over there in Buffalo. Missing both of them is going to hurt. If you have Jordan Howard or Matt Breida, flip a coin. I'd start one of them. I would not start both of them because they're going to get a touchdown on the ground. Mark my words. But that leads me to my other debacle. Who got Diggs? Are you going to stick Byron Jones on Diggs? Are you going to stick Xavier Howard on Diggs? Because if you do, you're going to have this young man by the name of Gabriel Davis who's going to say hello to the NFL, I believe, this Sunday. I'm not a psychic, but I'd like to think that Gabriel Davis is going to have a mismatch against whoever is guarding Diggs. The opposite corner is going to have a problem. I got Buffalo in a squeaker.
Oh, see, I have Buffalo by 10 at least. Putting that hurt on Miami. All right, Alex, we're going to take a real short break. Sports Arena, Alex Fleming, Eric Wilson. We'll be back in just a moment.
Wait till you guys eat this.
Wow!
Give me some of that.
Welcome back to the Sports Arena, ladies and gentlemen. Your man Eric Wilson alongside Alex Fleming, and a big shout out to my man David White, Anna Marie Charters, man. This man, I've watched his business just explode over the last 3 to 5 years, and I'm so proud of him. Yo, you want to go fishing and just really get the true experience? Anna Marie Charter. Make sure y'all check him out. Alex, let's get back to it. So here's my thing with this next matchup. All right. Arizona did what you and I, and probably Jackie, expected them to do, is go in and have a shocking turn of events and prove that the Super Bowl hangover is in fact real. They beat up on San Francisco. But more importantly, how is San Francisco rewarded? Yeah, they get the Jets. Come on. I mean, I'm just like, really? So you couldn't beat a divisional opponent, and then you're rewarded by having to play the Jets the next week because Cincinnati and Cleveland played Thursday night. So, I mean, San Fran. That's all I'm going to say. San Fran.
Wait a minute. We're not going to give San Fran its due and at least talk about the matchup?
Really? You know what? If you would like to talk about it, Alex, I'm going to sit this one out. Alex Fleming, Jets, 49ers, have it.
First and foremost, I have San Francisco winning. Don't get it twisted. But there's two things you have to know. West Coast teams don't do good on the East Coast. Keep that in mind. Second thing you need to know, George Kittle will not be scheduled to play in this game. Look for Ross Dwelly to do all the dirty work when it comes to blocking. And yes, broken down Washington football team, Jordan Reed will be the tight end to covet in fantasy. I believe Jordan Reed is going to be one of his main outlet due to the fact that Deebo Samuels is injured and still on IR. Brandon Ayuk, I don't believe is ready for the prime time. He's going to be the number 2. Look for there to be a monster running game between Mostert, Coleman, and Jerick McKinnon. And look for Jordan Reed to get a cheap touchdown because the Jets can't cover baloney.
Are you done?
Jets up.
Okay, good. That's what I would have said. But hey, you want to keep it on, keep it going. So that's fine. All right, Alex, you've had your moment in the shine. I'm going to give you, as we do on the carousel, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to tell me about the matchup between the Rams and the Eagles. And then I'm going to have my clapback moment. So please talk to me about the Rams versus the Eagles.
The Philadelphia Eagles secondary hasn't been fixed. As you can see, Dwayne Haskins only had 179 yards passing, but it was for first downs and to move the chains. Philadelphia couldn't stop the run because Peyton Barber actually looked like a viable running back when everybody knows he's a placeholder. He's a replacement. Once Antonio Gibson gets the playbook down, he's going to be the viable starter that you want. J.D. McKissic actually costs yardage. He's garbage. Dwayne Haskins is only going to get better, and the hate that this man receives for reasons that are outside of his control makes me sick. What I do want to mention is that Philadelphia is going to have an issue stopping the passing game of the Los Angeles Rams. Cooper Kupp had a quiet game. Robert Woods, he did his thing. He was, nah. Van Jefferson, 1 reception for 31 yards. Here's the thing, though. Van Jefferson was going against the number 2 corner of Dallas. He wasn't going against the number 3. Look for Van Jefferson to step up against that Philadelphia Eagles secondary, which is number 3. You ever heard of a guy named Aaron Donald? You ever hear of Aaron Donald, who was a disruptor against the Dallas Cowboys? I think it's safe to say that the Dallas Cowboys offensive line is just a little bit better than the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line. So look for Body Bag Game Part 2 coming to a theater near you this Sunday. Oh, and Jared Goff, nice and quietly, had a good game against that Dallas defense. Now he gets to eat lunch again against that Philadelphia secondary. Malcolm Brown is the one you want in Los Angeles until Cam Akers takes over later on in the season. I have this in every way, shape, and form, even though Los Angeles is a West Coast team playing in the East Coast. I have the Rams winning this matchup.
Are you done? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, the show is called The Sports Arena, and it is hosted by your man, Eric Wilson. So, please forgive what's about to come out my mouth. Now that we got Alex out the way here, let me just go ahead and say what I want to say. All right? Listen, it's week 1. We got punched in the throat. That's exactly what happened. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to call it any which way but that. I'm not making any excuses. We got punched in the throat. So now we're home. And who do we have coming to us? Oh, that's right. The Los Angeles Rams. The same Los Angeles Rams who knocked out Carson Wentz on our Super Bowl victory. The same Los Angeles Rams who every time this matchup comes, there's this talk of it's the number 1 draft pick versus the number 2 draft pick. Well, let's break it down, shall we? When you look at quarterbacks, you know what? I'll be the bigger man and say I'll give them an even pass because both of them right now need to be better than what they are. When you look at the running back position, my friend Miles is actually going to be playing this week. So please expect this brother's coming out guns blazing in our home opener. All right? Now, when we get to the wide receiving cores, as I said to a certain individual previously, the only guy we have to fear is Cooper Kupp. Sure, you've got Robert Woods, and you've got Tyler Higbee, and you've got some other guys out there. But Jared Goff doesn't know how to distribute and facilitate the ball to different people. Now, people can say, well, Carson only throws to Ertz. Well, no, that's not true because he does throw to Goddard. He does find Deshaun for the deep ball. He did find Jalen Reagor for a 55-yard catch in his debut last week. Now, let's get down to the defense. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. Alex brought up the offensive line of the Los Angeles Rams. Well, here's the thing, Alex, that I need you, and let me make sure I pull you up on camera when I say this to you. Let me make sure of one simple thing. Oh, you can open that Crown Peach right there, my brother, because it's going to be a long night if we're going to talk about Eagles. But let me just say this to you. The offensive line, I've got Jason on one side, and my boy Lane is back. And my man in the middle, Jason Kelsey, who I will still argue today is the best center in the game today. I will argue that point from stem to stern. I don't give a damn what team it is. So the Rams may have an offensive line, but it doesn't compare to mine. Now on defense, whole different story. Whole different story. Because I've been screaming at my defense for the past 3 years. Where the hell are you? Darius Slay, welcome to the family. Show up. Rodney McLeod, Avonte Maddox. I'm not worried about Fletcher Cox in my front four because I know they're going to handle theirs. But yeah, when it comes to defenses, I'll give the nod to the Rams. But as I've said to you, when we play the Rams, there's a little extra that we put on them because of what they almost cost us. And we may forgive, but we never forget. They are 1-0. We are 0-1. After this Sunday, we will both be 1-1. I'm going to keep it going here.
Shutting down somebody. Ramsey's shutting down somebody.
Let him try. Let's go on. And since we're in Pennsylvania, let's switch over to the west coast of Pennsylvania, if you will. Pittsburgh. What are your thoughts on Pittsburgh's performance Monday night? Because I was for sure saying to myself, Ben's going to retire. This is it. He's done. But he came out. He looked good. He's not the Ben Roethlisberger of back in the day, Super Bowl Ben Roethlisberger. But the brother looks like he wants to play again. What do you think?
I think Big Ben is the old Big Ben from 9-8 years ago. You got to think he was really rusty. He only played 2 games last season, and he had to have surgery. He's not playing with pain anymore. That Monday night tilt was the first action he had in almost a full calendar year. Oh, and we saw Juju.
I know.
Remember, he was on a milk carton last year. He was on a milk carton. Where was Juju? Where Juju? Like he got abducted or something. Save our children. Juju had 2 touchdowns last week. He also hit Chase Claypool, my nice little sleeper who passed my eye test coming out of Notre Dame. Abbotsford, British Columbia. Remember the name because you're going to be going after him in fantasy football league drafts next year real early. Chase Claypool. Here's what I think. That defense is for real. That secondary is stout. They don't need James Conner. They got Benny Snell, and they picked up Anthony McFarland from Maryland. You see, I do my homework, guys. All this COVID had me bored. They're deep. And other than Baltimore, and Kansas City, I don't see another team in the AFC messing with them. I don't think anybody wants smoke from the Pittsburgh Steelers this year. Mike Tomlin is pissed. Ben Roethlisberger is pissed. Juju's out to get some validation. And that defense wants some respect. I think they put a hurting on that Denver Broncos squad that looked real conservative Monday night against the Tennessee Titans.
Oh, can I just say, speaking of that game, I was thankful that I fell asleep because that game was probably one of the most lackluster Monday Night Football games I think I have ever sat up to watch. I was like, this is the product that you're putting out, NFL? Listen, I get it. You got to put the teams out there, but this could have been a Sunday 1:00 that those fans could have watched and enjoyed and been like, okay, these are our 2 teams. But wow, I was just like, wow. So yeah, it stands to reason. For every point that you made with regards to Mike Tomlin, Ben Roethlisberger, Juju. I mean, and let's not forget about that. You said about the defense, but show some love. Cameron Hayward, TJ Watt. Stephon Tuitt, Minka. I mean, come on. Yeah, I got Steelers all day on this one. All right, Alex, here we go. Carolina. Them Cats. Coming to Tom Brady's home in Ray J. I can see by the face. You got so much you either want to say and can't, or just don't want to say at all. So let me get my part out the way. Here's what I'll say. Tampa going to win this game because Tom Brady's not going to lose 2 in a row. And the fact that Bruce Arians called him out shows that Brady had a mental wake-up call. You done had 20 years of the same with Belichick. And whereas Belichick may have protected you, you that mad, bro? Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Look, I'm just going to say this. Hey, Bucks winning. They going to win. They just need to get their continuity and their timing down. Once that happens, all fire the cannons. I got the Bucks. Go ahead, sir.
I hope this loss that they took against the New Orleans Saints wakes up some of these damn fans. You didn't win a damn thing yet. It's week 1, and you got exposed. And the better team won. The better team won. So all of this talk that we got to hear, March, April, May, June, July. Oh, I'm a Bucks fan. Oh, Brady's here. Fire the cannons. Shut the hell up. Play the games. Because respect is earned, not given. With that being said, Tampa's going to beat those Pampas ass this Sunday. Bro, look for there to be sacks. Look for there to be blitzes. Look for there to be low blows. Brady might throw for 340 and 3 touchdowns.
Wow.
Tampa. Enough said. We ain't worried about those Pampas.
All right. Fair enough. All right, let's do another one here, my brother. Since you were just in Jacksonville and got to see Minshew Mania beat a divisional opponent, now they're going on the road to face yet another divisional opponent who we actually just spoke about in probably one of the most boring Monday Night Football games I think I've ever watched, in Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and those Tennessee Titans. I'm going to need your help on this one. I really am, because I think we haven't seen Tennessee what we know them to be. And Jacksonville able to be as good as they were, albeit against Phillip Rivers, who did have Marlon Mack to start the game, just not to finish it. I'm curious. So you got to help me on this one, please. Jacksonville, Tennessee. What are your thoughts?
Joe Schobert, whenever I got to interview him post-game, thank you, Jacksonville, told me that once they got their legs underneath them, because they were used to just having practice with the first team and the second team offense, once they got their legs underneath them, they knew that they could be good and that they wanted to release some frustration. Clavon Chason was holding down the middle. A lot of no names on the defense other than the young cats and the veterans. CJ Henderson looks like a shutdown corner. I don't want to jinx him or anything, but he held TY pretty much in check. The last 5 games against the Tennessee Titans, Derrick Henry's been running all over this team. Now, keep in mind, that was with Church, that was with Boye, that was with Ramsey, that was with Campbell, that was with Yannick Ngakoue. You know what they all have in common?
They're no longer in Jacksonville.
Look for Jacksonville to shock the world and beat the Tennessee Titans. No A.J. Brown. Corey Davis is unreliable. And when your only main weapons are Jonnu Smith, who comes in package plays, and Derrick Henry, who didn't look good against Denver, look for the stash to whoop some ass. Wow. I got Jacksonville going undefeated into their Thursday night tilt against Miami.
I'm going to let that marinate for a minute. You know what? We're going to take a real quick break. I'm going to let everybody just marinate on that for a minute. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sports Arena, ladies and gentlemen. Your man Eric Wilson alongside my brother Alex Fleming. Before we went to break, he made a very strong case why Jacksonville is going to be the victor against yet another AFC South divisional opponent in the Tennessee Titans. Wow. Both these
It's
teams
2020, bro. It's 2020.
And crazier things have happened. I just got to put more faith in Mike Vrabel than I do in Doug Marrone. So I'm going to go against you, but based on everything you said, I am concerned for Tennessee. But I just know there's more to Derrick Henry than what we saw Monday night. So I'm going to go against you on this one, but I'm going to take the home team on this one. So here we go, Alex. Here's a matchup that if you asked me 2-3 years ago about this matchup, I'd have looked at you and been like, bruh, next. But after what we saw this past Sunday between the Washington football team beating the Philadelphia Eagles, an NFC East divisional opponent, and the Arizona Cardinals beating the San Francisco 49ers, an NFC West divisional opponent, now the two 1-0 teams meet in a matchup that, like I said, in years past, I'd have been like, on to the next one. I think this should be the game of the week. I think a lot of people need to stand up and pay attention to what we're going to witness. Because on one side, you have the Washington defense, which I can tell you firsthand from watching it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't pay attention to nothing else with regards to Washington, pay attention to that defense. Chase Young is the truth. That brother is real as it gets. On the flip side, I have been a fan of Kyler Murray's last season and this season, and he just got better with the addition of Hopkins. He had a living legend. You throw in Christian Kirk, Kenyon Drake. I mean, come on, man. These guys are reinventing themselves and looking like they are on a true mission. I'm going to keep it real. I want to side with Washington just because at the end of the day, and I still feel this way, defense does win championships, but I am not in any way going against my man, who I have been still to this day say is the number one wide receiver in the league today, DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah, I know there's can't guard Mike. I know there's several other wide receivers, but DeAndre Hopkins is the real, you know what I want to say, deal. So I got Arizona in a nail biter. I say it's by a field goal.
Matchups make fights. You got an offensive line in Arizona that's shaky at best, definitely middle of the road, against that front seven that are hitmen. Ryan Kerrigan, Jonathan Allen, Ioannidis, the Predator, Chase Holcomb. Those boys are for real. All right? NFL's been put on notice. Those boys are for real. Ron Rivera was a former Chicago Bear, and you could tell with some of those stunt splits and some of those psycho packages that they did that made Carson look real, real bad, that Ron Rivera doesn't give a damn about you. He's coming after your quarterback. Expect a low rushing output from Kenyon Drake unless he breaks one. Expect there to be at least 4 or 5 sacks on Kyler Murray because of that offensive line. The key here, Arizona's defense versus Washington's offense. I believe Ron Rivera is going to have to let Antonio Gibson come unglued, and I think he's got to take the chains off of Dwayne Haskins. This man has been talked about, belittled, second-guessed, afterthought, and personally, as a man of color, I'm tired of it. I am not family of Dwayne Haskins, but I'm sick and tired of some of the talk that I've been seeing and hearing on social media. And no one's talking about Terry McLaurin. Why is no one talking about Terry McLaurin? He was the number 32 wide receiver last year. Now, for those who don't know, every single NFL team has at least 2 wide receivers that start every single game. That leads a total of 64. He was number 32 off of an inanimate, horrible Washington football team last year. Matchups make fights. Look for Kyler Murray to struggle early and for him to adapt to that hitman front seven. Look for Washington to have to score points. I agree with you. This is going to be a very tough matchup. But please don't tell Jackie. I hope she doesn't see this. I got the Washington football team.
Hey, as we say on the carousel, it's a football world and we're just living in it. And John Turner put me to bed the other night when him and I went at it. So I have nothing but respect for that team right now. They are going out there. This is not the revenge tour. This is not the redemption tour for the Washington football team. You know what this is? This is the RESPECT. This is the respect tour. They're going to remind everybody, you slept on us for so long. We no longer could hide the skeletons in our closet. So you know what? We're going to embrace the hate, but we're going to take it out on our opponents each and every week. So
look for DeAndre Hopkins to exploit that secondary that's young for the Washington football team. That's why the Washington football team are going to have to play hitman assassins and get to Kyler Murray early. That's going to be the key in the game. If Kyler's got time to throw, Arizona picks them apart. If Kyler's on his back more than Vanessa Del Rio, look for Dwayne Haskins to take advantage of his opportunities.
All right. Well, let's go to the next game, and this arguably is going to be, I would say, the matchup of the week, and that is El Freaky, the Jackson 5, Lamar Jackson, heading to, well, Alex, you're and my favorite coach, Bill O'Brien. How he still has a job, I don't know, but that's another story for another time. And the Houston Texans. Now, Deshaun got his bag. He didn't look too good opening night against the champs, but he's had time now to prepare himself, because you go from Patrick Mahomes to Lamar Jackson, and you're supposed to be considered part of this group that is the next generation of quarterbacks. Oh, and you a brother? Okay. I want to hear from you first on this one. I think I know where you're going, but I just want to hear it from you, sir.
This is two completely different battles. Now, Clyde Edwards-Helaire did most of his dirty work on the ground with 138 yards and a touchdown, and he looked great coming out of LSU. By the way, he doesn't eat seafood. I love the fact that I got to interview him at the Combine, but I digress. Baltimore set the record last year when it came to rushing yards. So what did they do? They added J.K. Dobbins, as if they needed any help. Mark Ingram was horrible last week on fantasy. Look for that to change this week. Freaky L, threw for 275 and a couple of touchdowns against that sorry Cleveland squad. Look for him to be a little bit more Rick James-ish against the Houston Texans. Oh, and by the way, trading in DeAndre Hopkins for two wide receivers that run 4.4 40s and another one who's a systemic, experienced wide receiver out of Green Bay, a.k.a. Randall Cobb, is not the same as DeAndre Hopkins. I would trade Stills, Cooks, and Cobb to keep DeAndre Hopkins. But with that being said, you think speed is going to match up for your lack of creativity and rapport. It's not. And there's a hole in that offensive line of Houston, and it's not Laramie Tunsil's side. It's the opposite side. So look for there to be about 6 or 7 sacks. Yes, I didn't stutter. I said 6 or 7, because last year he was sacked 7 times against this Baltimore Ravens front. And what did they do? They got Calais Campbell that's going to help with that interior line spot. Houston's not going to be able to run the football. They're only going to be able to throw the football. Some of those wide receivers are going to be running scared. Look for Brandon Cooks that might come down with a leg injury or a concussion. Look for El Freaky to just be freaky. And look for Devin Duvernay to probably catch a cheap touchdown. Baltimore all the way. I'm glad this is not the game of the week, because this is going to be ugly.
You're not even giving that Houston defense with guys like J.J. Watt and Whitley Merciless and Zach Cunningham. You're not even giving those guys an opportunity to get to El Freaky? Okay. All right. Then you know what? In the immortal words of Mark Ingram, ladies and gentlemen, big trust. Woo, woo.
Woo, woo.
I got Baltimore as well. All right. AFC West divisional matchup. And I'm very interested in this one. I like this one. It is the defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, who are heading to face the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, the Chiefs have won 11 of the past 12. So it stands to reason that when you are the defending champs, you have a bigger target on your back. You've got Patrick Mahomes. You, sir, spoke of Clyde Edwards-Helaire and how he was just, as a rookie, week 1, coming out, setting himself apart from everybody else. Hey, there was a guy on that team. I remember kind of elevating him a little bit when he got to Kansas City, and people were hating on me saying, you think Sammy Watkins is supposed to be this big time guy? He couldn't get it done in Buffalo. He couldn't get it done in Carolina. But he was on a Super Bowl squad, right? And he's still there again, right? So Sammy Watkins, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not paying attention, listen, I'll be the first one to admit, I don't get them all right, but the ones that I do are the ones that you need to pay attention to. Sammy Watkins, that's my dog. I'm going to let y'all know. So between him, Tyreek, and Mecole Hardman against the Chargers defense, which, listen, Bosa and Ingram, bruh, those boys are for real. I'm scared when they show up. And when both of them are on, that defense is stout. Anthony Lynn has this team ready to go. It is an AFC West matchup. However, I got to go with the champs just because they are on that other level. They on a whole nother level. So I'm taking the Chiefs in this one.
All right. You know how Stephon Marbury, when he was in China, saying that there's so many levels that you have to reach, and you have to reach that other level. And that's why they built that man a statue. I look at numbers, I look at data, and I look at chance, because you can't measure the probability of a human. No Derwin James. So that secondary is going to be a little bit suspicious. Look for Mr. Harris, the former Denver Bronco, now Charger, to be like glue on Tyreek Hill, opening the door for Sammy Watkins and Demarcus Robinson. If you saw early, he had 3 catches for 20 yards. Mecole Hardman was nowhere to be found. Look for Robinson to establish himself as the number 2, because Watkins is, in case of emergency, break glass. Also, no Pouncey brother at the center position for the Los Angeles Chargers. But keep in mind, they're opening that brand new arena that the Rams won in against Dallas. Now it's the Chargers' turn. Expect this to be closer than expected. Expect Eckler to show off if given the opportunity, because that Kansas City front still doesn't scare me. I mean, hell, David Johnson ran for 77 yards and had a touchdown. Real talk. But I do have Kansas City winning this game. One thing to look for: left side offensive line of the Kansas City Chiefs. No Tardif, because he is an actual doctor, and no other offensive lineman who decided to sit out due to COVID-19. Look for there to be some sacks.
All right. Let's finish this up here, my brother, and get to the Sunday night football game, which has very interesting implications. 2, yet again, black quarterbacks who we have watched their careers just progress and elevate to such standards, both on and off the court. Now, in years past, when we've seen this matchup, it's been all Russell Wilson. But then things started to slowly change. And I remember this was back in probably, I think, 2015, 2016, whatever year that the Panthers went on that run. And I said on the show, I said, for Cam to prove to me that he is about his game, he has to go into Seattle and beat Seattle. And when he did that, I was like, okay, this is the Cam Newton that I know him to be. Listen, my brother from another mother, my distant third, fourth cousin, watched them to call and get a loan so we can get hooked up. I'm telling you, Russell, Sierra, hey, Wilson, hook a brother up. I'm just saying, dangerous. And you at the 12. Fans or no fans, it doesn't matter. You have to go into the 12. I am really torn on this game because I love what Josh McDaniels has been able to do with Cam and kind of open up the playbook and say, okay, let's modify this to make sure that you are in the best light possible. But the connection between Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson that has existed for as long as they have, you can't go against the experience. That being said, because they're at home, That's why I'm picking C. That because I could go down the list and say to myself, listen, I love me some Tyler Lockett. I know what DK Metcalf is going to do. Chris Carson and them boys, I mean, at the running back, him and Carlos Hyde, they got that connection. And then you bring in a wily veteran at tight end in Greg Olsen, who was great in the red zone. But it's Bill Belichick and New England. And you never sleep on them. The man is a genius. But I'm a side with Pete Carroll and my cousin Russell against New England this week. Alex, I'm going to let you have the final word and close it out, brother.
This is definitely going to be the game of the week. I'm glad this is a Sunday night special because you're going to see how two black quarterbacks work, how they handle their teams, and how they manage the heat from outside because everybody knows they got respect inside the football world. New England had 11 players that opted out this year. Kyle Van Noy is now in Miami. Trey Flowers been in Detroit for quite some time. And I believe there's an offensive lineman by the name of Brown that is now in Vegas. I almost said Oakland. I had to catch myself. Cam Newton is playing for incentives. He signed a $1 million contract that could be up to $8 million if he meets a certain criteria. Who else better to meet that criteria on than the Seattle defense? Who, by the way, that I mentioned earlier, gave up 100 yards to Julio Jones, which is expected, gave up 100 yards to Calvin Ridley, which is expected, but also gave up 100 yards to Russell Gage. Now, here's my point. Cam Newton and them boys had 225 yards rushing. Cam had 75. There's a certain play set where if Cam doesn't see anybody open, he takes off with the football. And since they're blocking down, he's going to have holes open against that Seattle interior defense. Now, I love me some Bobby Wagner. I do. But he's got a problem in coverage. The exact opposite with KJ Wright, who's a little bit long in the tooth. He'll cover you, but he's susceptible against the run. Look for Bill Belichick to use mismatches against the Seattle front. And plus, they know the smoke. They know the heat that they're going to get from Seattle. They stole a ring from the Seattle Seahawks. Real talk. And for all of those players that play for New England that are on the fantasy football bench list waiver wire, like N'Keal Harry or James White or Damian Harris or Rex Burkhead or Asiasi, look for Cam Newton to actually utilize some of these weapons. Upset special. I got Cam going to Seattle and winning week 2.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it. Mic drop right there. We're going to leave right there. The Sports Arena, your man Eric Wilson alongside my brother Alex Fleming. As always, a great show. Hey, make sure you check this man out. Carousel, so much. And as we say on the carousel, hey, either you on or you're off. Peace.